Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my thoughts on the series finale of Supernatural on the CW, which was called Carry On.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel here.
Hey, I'm Sylvia Saska.
And I'm Jen Saska.
And we're the Saska Sisters. Bloody with two E's.
Bloody Jacob for sexy, awesome, exclusive content.
You guys better subscribe and watch my friend on his YouTube channel. He is kicking ass.
And yes, season 15, episode 20, the final episode of the longest running sci-fi show in America. It's over, guys. It's done. At least as of now, they tease they might come back and do something like a few years from now or something like that. We'll see how they do that. But the original series is concluded. It's been a time, let me tell you guys. Again, I have links to my social media profiles below. Go to my Instagram. I wrote in length about how I felt immediately after watching the final episode. But yeah, I unfortunately don't have cable. We just go off of internet and everything. Having just moved into a new house and such, and we get so much with the streaming and such. So I had to wait until the episode went onto the CW app. So yes, I stayed up late. I watched the episode a little after 3 a.m. How long episode I have commercials for? But yeah, the internet's pretty much blown up about it. And the fandom, of course, especially. And I gotta say, this final episode, I actually really loved it. Well, for the most part, of course, you're always gonna have your mixed feelings. Was it specifically to what I had personally envisioned, to conclude the show, detail for detail? No. Do I think it made sense and fit within the world and the type of narratives they usually tell? Yes. I felt like it gave us a very good balance of the kind of ending we'd expect for both of the characters, as well as enough of satisfaction and reward for us being fans all these years. For me, I still felt that. I know a lot of people are blowing up about it in a pretty negative way. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's just been some harsh shit thrown even to some of the actors' way, which is really, really bizarre of people to do over social media and such. But that just goes to show how toxic these sorts of fandoms can be sometimes. But I'm not going to go into specifics about that. I don't need to add fuel to the fire. But and of course, COVID sort of interfered with certain details about the finale. As far as I know, is mainly just we have gotten a larger number of cameos and guest appearances in the final episode, which is unfortunate. But at the same time, it sort of helped refine the final episode in a way that really fit, really dialing in on the relationship between Sam and Dean, our boys, the brothers. And I thought they handled it really, really well. I'm not gonna, I'm kind of talking more in a general sense about the show. But the story for the final episode itself, it features some lighter moments for the first 20-ish minutes, give or take. We see Dean enjoying pie one last time and stuff like that, and Sam putting a pie in his face and stuff, and little things like that. Just some good typical nods to a lot of like the banter we've come to love between these two characters. I felt like, okay, yeah, let's bask in this, as long as we can, and they did well with that. I mean, again, no matter what you feel about the ending, these actors really gave it their all. Just such incredible, I think, award-worthy performances, and they really hit a home run here. For a while it all seems normal and not really a whole lot of serious threats going on, not even much in the way of cases, but they do pick up on something. It ties back to a group of apparent psychopaths or possibly vampires that John had hunted years ago, and Dean is able to recognize these masks that John had sketched in his journal. So it was good to tie it back to something, even though we didn't really hear about it before, but it still makes sense that there'd still be some cases that we hadn't seen touched on with John. And it turns out to be this like group of vampires that basically use kids as cattle, sort of, essentially, make them last, inject them with drugs and everything, and to enhance themselves when they feed them. When they feed on them, sort of periodically over the years, not as children either, but mainly children. So it's a more grounded type of case, but very disturbing. It felt kind of real, which I think worked for the final episode of the show. And of course, vampires, when done well, can always be very serious, sort of on edge, threats and such. So for some people it felt kind of random, and this would be like the final story, but I think it worked in a way that I think really fit with the nature of the show and the world they're in. I think this final episode, is very honest to how things in this world play out. Unfortunately, they track them to like this farmhouse type of area. There's a large number of vampires. They're all wearing kind of like leather and these masks. They're outnumbered. It's like a 4-on-2. There's one really big burly vampire and such too. They fight them off, rather nicely. I forget if there's like 4 or 5 or something, but excuse me. There's some really solid hits and choreography. I thought too, one of the better ones in the show. Both Sammy and Dean are able to decapitate their fair share. Before there's people keep calling it a nail. It wasn't a fucking nail, okay? Excuse the language. It wasn't a nail. It was a piece of like rebar, which was like this long, lodged into one of the posts in the barn. And the Mr. Burly vampire ends up driving Dean into it, and this ends up being what unfortunately kills Dean fucking Winchester. Okay. Now I love the whole show. I've loved all the characters, but Dean has always been easily my favorite character of the series, and Dean, Jensen Ackles' performance has been one of my favorites in all of fiction. Not just TV, not just film, but in general, okay? He really made the show to me. He was always the character I was most compelled by. And so I understand what people think with okay, he's killed by some random vampire kind of by chance after all he's been through, all he's fought, all he's survived. And yeah, it kind of that does suck, but this is probably how it would happen in real life to some extent. Dean always said he wanted to die bloody. He doesn't think he's really gonna die. He's really gonna die any other way. Chances are. He always seen an end for himself like this coming. And I don't want to talk about The Walking Dead right now, but like even in The Walking Dead, I remember like Rick, the main character in that show early on, said it only takes like 1 second, just 1 second. And that's right, whether it's like underestimating someone or it's just the nature of the world. It's just a twist of fate. It's the littlest thing. Can switch it. And of course, Chuck's magic isn't protecting them anymore. So they're not being kept alive no matter what, just to be toyed with anymore. And yeah, you see that all throughout history too. Some of the greatest men, these great generals, these just great people in general, are killed in very unceremonious ways that don't really fit the kind of men they were. And I think that's what this was sort of meant to represent here. Yeah, Dean probably could have killed that vampire eventually, but luck and chance would have it that Sam just happened to get that second and push Dean into this. And yeah, it was probably going to be something like that would happen to one or both of them eventually, most likely both of them. But it just so happened that Dean met his end here, which really does suck. And it's not like it's not a crowd-pleasing way, to do it. And sure, maybe I would have liked Dean to have gone out in like some blaze of glory or something, but that's kind of Hollywoody, This I feel like was pretty honest, ballsy way to go for sure, but honest to what could actually happen. And it's not, I don't think it's disrespecting the character either. It's just like an honest truth of how things would eventually play out for him, with them, saving people and hunting things, right? But yeah, it killed me, man. I cried. I'm man enough to admit that. Again, just incredible acting. Dean's able to say some things to Sam, saying how he's always looked up to him, how he's always been the stronger one, how he needs him to get the kids out and such, which they presumably do, or at least Sam does. But Dean's not able to move, so he tells Sam things like that. And eventually says, "You gotta tell me it's okay. You can go," and he does. And yeah, I cried. It was hard to see it happen like that, but I was sort of preparing myself for that end, for a large chunk of the series, and I don't think it's dishonest to the character. Like I said, I think it's very honest to the world they're in. Okay, notification. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's I explained this already, but yeah, it could have been some like grander overarching villain or something that did it, or maybe Dean died like in some grand final world save. Sure, but again, I get what they're going for with this sort of thing. And they don't end it there either. They really give us a lot of feels, for sure. We see Sammy, he ages, he presumably settles down with I can't remember her name, the deaf girl. Eileen? Yeah, okay. We don't really see him up close, but like even Jensen Ackles has said that they weren't able to do as much as they wanted to in the finale necessarily because of COVID, so they weren't able to get as many like guest appearances and cameos as they wanted. So I'm sure Sam probably stayed with Eileen. They apparently have a kid. They name him Dean. And we see him grow old. We see Sam missing Dean, of course, and staying in the Impala and everything, aging as it goes. Meanwhile, we see Dean in the afterlife and what Jack's new heaven is, essentially. And we see, this was a good surprise. I mean, we've been seeing Jim Beaver again periodically for a while appear as Bobby Singer, but it's always been like this alternate Earth, this AU, this Earth 2 Bobby, right? But no, we see our original Bobby, our fucking Bobby, okay? Legitimate Bobby, like Dean said, weren't you locked up in heaven? But Jack changed things for the better, the way it always should be, not just reliving memories of the past, but getting to just be happy and at peace with those you love and what you love. And you just get to live and live and live with just nothing but joy, and good. Which I think is basically an ideal representation of what heaven should be like. But yeah, I just love having the Bobby back. Like I said, I've said this before when I was reviewing the show, kind of off and on the past couple of seasons, but it's cool seeing these alternate versions of like Bobby and Charlie and such, but it never quite meant as much because we knew it wasn't actually the version our boys knew and not the ones that our boys, built a relationship with. Like the Earth 2 Bobby barely even knew Sam and Dean, But yeah, seeing the Bobby reunite with Dean and them sitting alone there, Bobby is able to, sharing a beer, just fucking awesome. That's been long overdue. Saying how, his parents, John and Mary have a place, over there. Even Rufus, is nearby. So I'm sure we will have seen John, we will have seen Mary, we will have seen Rufus. I sort of assume like characters like maybe Joe and different types of people like that. But unfortunately, we don't get that. But again, you can think of these characters that would likely be in heaven. Yeah, they're probably out there somewhere. So you still got to think about that sort of thing. So it makes it pretty nice. Bobby says Jack did this, himself with some help from Castiel. Okay. Now, I think something happened where maybe they weren't able to bring Misha back at the right time. So you don't actually see him, but I don't know why people are missing this. Bobby essentially says, yeah, Castiel is there again, and he's helped Jack, reshape this new and better version of heaven. So Castiel has apparently been, saved by Jack from the empty. That's what I took from it anyway. So I don't know why people seem to have missed that and are just freaking out anyway. I don't know. But there's a lot of good in this finale, guys. And we see Sam, like I said, grow old. He eventually does die, of natural causes after a very long life. His son Dean is growing up. And then we see, like Bobby says, time moves a lot faster up here compared to down there. We see Sam, back in his like ideal age and shape, like we knew him. Reunite with Dean on the bridge, and it's very, very sweet. I thought it was really well done. We get a couple different versions of Carry On My Wayward Son in this video, or this episode, of course, which is really good. And just like the supernatural, like sad theme music they played for, Dean's death, it really, really got to me. I just thought it was a really well-made episode. Like I said, it's not like everything I would have wanted. I would have loved to have somehow seen Crowley or, some sort of implication about him maybe being around somewhere, which I think is one of those things as fans we can assume, maybe. Between Jack, hopefully seeing that Crowley is good, and, Rowena still being in control of Hell, presumably, Crowley would come back somehow. Even if they couldn't get Mark Sheppard again, we knew he would be back somehow, maybe. But we can just envision different characters like that would have deserved good and another chance, and I think we can make that up in our heads, with what they gave us there. That might be a bit optimistic, getting carried away, sure, but even without that, I think what the final episode gave us meant a lot. I have nothing but love for this show. Sure, there's like a weaker season or two, but I still really liked it. I fucking love Supernatural, man. I'm gonna miss it so much. I just finished rewatching, Buffy and Angel with a fiance. Supernatural took, it worked so well with those shows, with humor, then mixing that with, emotional heights and really great character arcs and, acting and everything. And, they took that, they made it their own too. It's really a landmark show. And Supernatural I already loved. It already meant a lot to me. But these past few episodes, they've cemented it. It now means even more to me. It's easily one of my few favorite shows of all time. That's for sure. Top 5, maybe even top 3. And I watch a lot of shows. I have like a list of like my top 20 or 30, okay? So that means something. Like I said, it could be like one of my top 3 favorites of all time at this rate. I'm already watching it over. I just watched like the Dead Passenger episode, or the Phantom Passenger episode in season 1. I'm on episode 5 now. And also, we seen that vampire who was turned Jenny or whatever from season 1, but she's quickly decapitated by Sam and them, who are able to keep them from getting her exact vengeance anyway. Even though she called dibs, she gets decapitated anyway. So that was a cool little random throwback there for what it was. But yeah, overall, I personally am actually very happy with it. Sure, it made me feel like shit in a way too, but I think it really paid as great a tribute as they could during these times when they were filming, and I think they ended in a really appropriate way, just honed in on the brothers and what they meant to each other, and I think it really fit. It did. I'm giving it like a 9.5 out of 10 at the very least, okay? But yeah, hopefully as I watch through again for the 3rd time, I know it's not very much for some people, but I like taking my time with shows. I like taking it in, letting things set. So yeah, watching it over again for a 3rd or 4th time, it is a lot for me, okay? I'm really enjoying watching the early stuff again, and at some point I'll be ranking all the seasons as well, probably doing like a definitive like top 10 favorite characters from the show, maybe episodes at some point, even though that'd be really ridiculous to try and do. But yeah, I'm really gonna miss Supernatural. Nothing of its ilk is ever gonna air again. It was a very special show with a very dedicated cast and crew. But yeah, please, people, just don't attack the actors or anything like that, okay, if you're not happy with it. And just be objective and look at, what things actually meant in the show, no matter your own feelings on it. It's probably not as bad as you're thinking, if you actually pay attention. I'm just going to say that. But yeah, hopefully, COVID hopefully gets under control, because I'd love to be able to go to the Supernatural convention they're doing in Chicago this June, which would be for my birthday. I've met Mark Shepard Crowley, who was really cool a couple years ago, but I finally have a chance to hopefully meet Jared and especially Jensen. I'm really hoping it's able to happen properly. We'll see. But yeah, like you guys thought, Supernatural, it's everything, man. So yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.